Now you might think that Wugtrio is a bad Pokemon competitively, but, well, I mean, yeah, you know, you'd be right, it's pretty horrible. However, I'm gonna make it destroy people anyway. Stat-wise, it's a glass cannon that dies if literally anything touches it, but it's got base 100 attack and 120 speed, so it's got a little bit of something. If you're wondering if it has any abilities to help it out in any meaningful way, it does not. But what it does have is its own signature move in Triple Dive. The bad news is that this also is not very good. It's a 30 power water move that hits 3 times and has a 5% chance to miss. They really made great value Urshifu. But I'm gonna first set up Rain to boost water damage by the big 50%, and when we toss on a Choice Band, Wugtrio can outspeed and get some actual big damage on a lot of threats with Triple Dive. Other than that, it can kinda use Foul Play, Sucker Punch if you're getting desperate, or Terra Blast Electric for coverage. Overall, Wugtrio is 100% pure nonsense, but I think it's kind of funny, so it's time to make it a monster. I'm pretty convinced that Wugtrio was originally created as a joke, and then they were like, you know what? Stick him in there, but whatever you do, do not make it good. God forbid. But today, we're going where no trainer has gone before, which it seems like I often do. And we're gonna try to make Wugtrio be a beast. Now, if that sounds like a fun time to you, consider hitting that subscribe button. I got plenty more shenanigans I'm cooking up. And with that, let's jump into the match. Alright, so as my opponent decides to lead off with the Ambipom, I've got debatably the best horse for the job. I mean, there's not a better guy to have in here to take a fake out in any physical attack that old Utterhands wants to throw at me. So I'm free to set up some Stealth Rock. Of course, they do U-turn. Does take a little bit of chip, but that gives me a stamina boost, and they take some Rocky Helmet, and then they're like, yeah, I'm gonna get the hell out of here. Now, one thing about Ambipom in general, it puts a lot of pressure. That priority fake out does a lot of damage to everything, and the guy's scary. So check it out. As they end up pivoting into the old spicy chicken here, one thing important to note is the air balloon message does come up. Now, I looked away for a brief second, and as I looked back, I saw like the tail end of what might have been an air balloon. If you miss the air balloon message, you're gonna have a bad time. But I'm thinking, there's surely, if they go Blaziken here, they have to be air balloon. They know I can just Earthquake the hell out of it, unless it's for some reason Focus Sash. I decide I'm going for the body press, and I'm like, please be an air balloon. If it's not, it is. Luckily, I did catch the air balloon. So I get the body press, which pops that, which is nice. And as they set up a Swords Dance, that is a little bit scary, but I do have 1 stamina boost. So I know I can take 1 close combat. Thank God. I do get beat the hell up in the process, but that's going to allow me to, first of all, get another stamina boost for the road, and then also just finish it off with an Earthquake. So Mudsdale it sucks that I do have to take that amount of damage, but at least I'm able to take care of Blaziken. That's a huge threat out of the way, especially with Swords Dance and Speed Boost. Fella can get out of hand, and they kind of needed that damage. There's not really much else they have to deal with the Mudsdale, so you know, they get me into easily killable range. I don't have much that wants to hard switch into Miss Maggie here, and they do just finish me off, you know, with a Shadow Ball. Important to note, I did accidentally click Earthquake there as well. If they went for a setup move, that was gonna suck. But luckily, I figured they would probably just knock me out. They do with the Shadow Ball, and now it's time to get some wetness going. I decided to bring in the Politoed. Buddy is stanced the hell up with his one little hair looking like a goofball. But the most important thing is I get up that Drizzle, and that's gonna be nice. So at this point, I decided it's kind of my best interest just to go for a Weather Ball. Politoed, look, this fella hits harder than most people think with a Weather Ball. That just straight up obliterates the Miss Maggie, and now its hat's all wet and dead. So, you know, down goes that thing, which is great. But now they're able to revenge switch in the Ambipom. And now without the Mudsdale support, I'm kind of in a little bit of a scary spot here. But realizing that Wugtrio, after the fake out comes through, switches in here relatively nicely. Now, I was hoping that fake out killed me. It doesn't, which is mostly just annoying because that stalls out another turn of my Rain. And as I can't really afford to swap out here, I figure I stay in, sack the Politoed, and unfortunately for me, they U-turn, because that means that Ambipom can come back in with another fake out locked and loaded, and again, thing is scary. But as they now decide to bring in the Weavile, here's the situation. So I've got the Rain up, the conditions are right for the Wug. I'm figuring, you know what? It might be time to pull the fella out. Now, this could be bad. If it's Jolly Weavile, it does outspeed me. However, if it's Adamant, which I'm expecting it to be, I can outspeed with the Triple Dive. I go for it, and we do outspeed, thank God. A part of me thought that I was actually going to be naturally faster, but no, Weavile is in fact 5 points faster. But if you're not running Jolly, the Wugtrio is going to punish you. You get whipped by three separate Wugs. That's just Well, I guess only 2, because triple dive only hit twice. But regardless, one of them was there to watch, and he had a good time with that. So that takes out the Weavile, and now we're kind of rolling with the thing. So look at it. They go back to the Ambipom, and a fake out. I think I should be able to live. I am made out of paper, but I live it with 5 HP, which is actually sick as hell, because Wugtrio's kind of got him in a bit of a corner here. Ambipom with the fake out priority is the only thing that can outspeed me, so as they're forced to swap, something is about to face the wrath of our weird, kind of disturbing little guy here. So I go for another triple dive. As Heracross comes in, we're doing our best Urshifu impression here, just going for the Kmart surging strikes. We only need 2 in the rain that takes care of the Heracross, and that's actually sick as hell. We're out here, we're running fast, we're killing stuff, and straight up whooping some ass. So Ambipom does get to come back in here, and of course a fake out puts me in a whole lot of Shadow Realm death. So I decide Wugtrio does get to come back in potentially and just outspeed Ambipom, and seeing as Probopass is their last mon in the back, Wugtrio might be able to still do some work. So I decide to bring in the Cryogonal. Now this thing comes in, it takes half from a fake out, which is honestly should be illegal. And as they now go for a knockoff, that does kill. So McFlurry goes down before I get to even do anything, which, you know, is fine. Because at this point I can go back to Wugtrio, and the rain does go away. But knowing that, you know, they can't really hard switch into Probopass here, that thing, it can't take 2 triple dives. So I go into Wugtrio. We're looking happy to be here, as this fella kind of is, and we're just bringing our rock with us. I go for the triple dive. I'm able to outspeed the Ambipom because, again, they can't directly go into the Probopass, and that's going to be a dead Ambipom. So Buddy's been running amok the entire game, and it's good to see that thing dead. So while it feels like we've gotten ourselves in a pretty locked-in position, there's a couple things that could happen, and things are going to get interesting. So they go Probopass. Crazy-ass Mario with a metallic mustache. I don't know what the hell kind of drugs they were taking when they came up with this thing, but I kind of want some. But first of all, I can just go for a triple dive. I know it's going to do a big amount of damage. It's not going to one-hit KO. However, they're able to pull out the defensive Terra. Knowing that they still had the Terra in the back pocket makes things a little more interesting, because it's going to be Ghost Terra, which is there to just stop fighting moves, but it's also just going to make it neutral, you know, versus my triple dive here. I do at least connect on him, and I get a critical hit on the first one. So once again, we're pretending to be Urshifu here. And sadly, you know, only one gets the crit. But we do hit the, we do at least hit it. Triple dive's such a shit move that it has the ability to miss, and it's not even that good. What were they thinking with that? But regardless, as they go for it, they go for the Iron Defense, and that was kind of exactly what I did not want to see. So at this point, my triple dives are not going to be able to do anything. The good news is I know Probopass probably cannot heal itself, so I'm going to continue to triple dive, hope that I can maybe get a critical hit through those defensive boosts. But now, you know, we're not doing anything. I do at least get some considerable chip on the guy. But the bad news is my remaining Mons is going to be, first of all, an Iron Hands that after all these Iron Defenses is not going to really be able to touch the thing. But at least I do have one kind of surprise. Now, they're going for Iron Defenses in hopes that, you know, my final Mons are physical attackers, right? But I actually have a special attacking Flygon in the back. So the plan is this. Get as much damage as I can with the Wugtrio here, and then just toast him with the special Flygon. Now, I go for another triple dive, and that one misses, which is not really the end of the world because, I mean, they finished me off with a discharge, and that's going to allow me to bring in the special Flygon. But after some leftovers, this thing's a little more healthy than I would like it to be. And plus, I know it has Body Press. It's going to be able to kind of one-shot everything I have left. And I'm like, no, this cannot be. The nose cannot finish me off here. So look, I go into Flygon, and I'm going to click Earth Power. The reason for that is because I figure that should probably be able to kill, and it doesn't. It leaves it actually in a pretty healthy range, which is wild. I did not want to go for Draco Meteor because I did not want to miss there, but now I've got myself in kind of a scary spot here. So look, after some leftover, it's no longer in red, but I've got one Mon left, and it's the Iron Hands. Now, this thing has 3 Iron Defenses. It's defensive as hell, and I die to a Body Press. Now, as I come in, I do at least get my Quark Drive to be activated via Booster Energy. I get the attack boost. And as I'm looking at this, knowing they're going to Body Press, I have one thing I can do. I can go for Terra Flying, and that is going to allow me to resist the Body Press, should allow me to live at least one of them, and if Buddy for some reason clicks Discharge here, I will just turn off my switch. I should actually even be able to live that. I'm not even going to lie. But I put the balloons on my head, And gotta be some crazy ass balloons to carry my fat ass all the way into the air. But I then go for the Thunder Punch. It does not kill because it has so many iron defenses. But luckily, as they body press, I live it nicely, which is insane. And even after some leftovers recovery, I should have just enough damage to knock this thing out with one more Thunder Punch. And this Probopass got a little bit scary. I'm not even gonna lie, I was frightened. But luckily we were able to finish it off. Down goes the Probo. Iron Hands comes in clutch with the random ass Terra flying at the end. Whew, and that is gonna be the end of the game. Two things we learned from today is that Wugtrio is a threat, and Terra flying, if it's Iron Hand's birthday, you're gonna have a bad time. It's his birthday, not yours. Regardless, that's now going to take us into game number 2. And look, if you've stuck around this far into the video, first of all, shout out to you. I really appreciate that. I appreciate you sticking around. But also, if you have, go ahead and hit that like button for me if you're hearing this, because it does help out the channel, and I'm doing my damn best over here. So with that, let's jump into the next game. All right, so this time, as my opponent decides to lead off with the Crawdaunt, this thing is entirely here because they predict the Mudsdale lead, essentially. Now, looking at this, I'm thinking, okay, first of all, nothing I have hard switches into an adaptability Craw, but also I'm thinking, you know, they surely click knockoff here. A guy like me is clicking knockoff, but yeah, no, they do in fact go straight for the Crab Hammer, connect on it, and that kills me. So I'm thinking, all right, well, Choice Banded Crawdaunt is in fact a problem, and I don't really have much for that, but what I do have is some hands. Now, I don't really want to go into this thing this early to burn its booster energy, but I do it anyway because it puts some good pressure, and here's the plan. I get an attack boost from my Quark Drive, and I know that they probably want to switch here, but I'm going to click Drain Punch anyway. I want to play it safe, but also I know that this likely baits in the Clodsire. Now, Clodsire is a type of turd-shaped fella that is pretty annoying for the offensive power of my team because I can't really set up in the face of it, and I need some damage on this thing to allow potentially Wugtrio to maybe do some damage later, but here's the thing. Drain Punch doesn't do much, but I know that I have a coverage and Ice Punch that should be enough to be a 2-hit KO. It almost ends up knocking the fella out, and I'm like, this is perfect. I got it easily into killable range. And honestly, if the value I get out of Iron Hands ends up being just knocking out the Clodsire, I'm kind of happy with that. But as they go for the Toxic, I kind of expected them to just Earthquake for damage. I know that my thick boy could take it anyway, but I'm just going to now fire off a Drain Punch here. Look, I'm fully expecting them to probably swap. I mean, Clodsire is kind of used up at this point, but they do go for a Protect, which is, first of all, rude. That just stalls out another turn of Toxic, and we really put on a timer here with the Iron Hands. But I'm also realizing Iron Hands looks pretty damn nice against kind of their entire squad here. Being badly poisoned isn't great, but knowing that I can just finish this thing off now with an Ice Punch, I figure they probably sack it, but to my surprise, they end up not doing that. Here's look at Buddy's got balls of steel. They swap into the Crawdaunt. Now, they saw me just click Drain Punch on that previous turn, but then they probably realized that ends up killing. But as I Ice Punch, I freeze his ass solid. In a frozen popsicle crawfish, we're having the opposite of a crawfish boil over here. Buddy's frozen, and that kind of sucks for him. I'm gonna fully take advantage though, because, you know, Crawdaunt a threat, and hey, sometimes it happens. The Hacks gods bless me with a little hacks there, and I can finish it off with the Drain Punch, which is sick, because then I get some health back, and a little offset on the poison there, which is nice, but down goes the Crawdaunt. I do kind of feel bad, but, you know, hey, it is what it is. Down goes the Craw, and while we're still at half HP, Iron Hands does still have some work to potentially put in here. So now they decide to bring in one of my worst nightmares, which is Baxcalibur. Now, I'm kind of worried about a Terra Ghost to avoid my Drain Punch, but they are going to click the Scale Shot. Going to be loaded dice sets, so trying to get the maximum amount of hits to maybe grab a kill. Luckily for us, it only hits 4 times. We would have been able to live the 5 anyway, but that is incredibly clutch. People will be sleeping on Iron Hands. This thing just never dies. And with one attack boost, a Drain Punch kills the Baxcalibur, and we're going on a tear like never seen before via Iron Hands. You may be thinking, is this an Iron Hands video? It is not, because one thing we notice about this matchup is, you know, I mean, Iron Hands is going to go down, surely. I mean, soon. The next turn, Poison's going to kill me. But we've gotten rid of quite a few things that can deal with Wugtrio, and as they have half of their team left, they got 4 at this point, but they go Clodsire. I do outspeed with an Ice Punch, which is sick. I mean, Iron Hands doesn't generally do much outspeeding, but I do kill it with an Ice Punch, and they kind of just accept the death of Clodsire and return for Toxic taking me out. So down goes the Hands. We've now gotten them down to 3 mons left. And the one thing I'm feeling a little Wuggy today. And it's time to see if we can clean up with Wugtrio, which would be hilarious. And also kind of difficult, but we're going to try anyway. So step number 1 is obviously we need all the help we can get. So I'm going to set up a little bit of rain action. And if you thought that they were out of threats, they are not. They've got some very scary stuff left. Roaring Moon being arguably the scariest of the mons they have left, I am very worried about a Dragon Dance. I do not want this thing dancing, but they're going to pull out the Terra here. They're going to go Terra Dark, I assume, just to kind of boost up some Dark Stab damage here. I also had to get rid of an Ice Beam chip, but with this thing, a Terra Dark knockoff is, yeah, that hurts. You do not want to be on the receiving end of that. And that's just gonna kill Politoed. So, you know, while that does suck, here's the thing. Since they did not Dragon Dance, Wugtrio is rubbing his little non-existent hands together. Because I can bring it in here, and I can not only outspeed this thing by literally 1 base speed point, but in the rain, a triple dive should be able to kill this thing even at full health with the Choice Band. I bust out the triple dive, and it's looking like it's just enough for the 3 hits to be able to take care of it. I'm like, please, Wugtrio, do not let me down. And that was a Roaring Moon taken out by a Wugtrio, and may just be the first documented case of that happening. So that is extremely nice because they had to use up their Terra to get the kill on Politoed anyway, which is sick as hell. That takes care of the Roaring Moon. And now, not only that, but look, Wugtrio is out, the rain is raining, and we are still looking pretty nice because we're faster than the 2 mons they have left. And as they go into Electivire here, I'm gonna click the Terra Electric. And you may be asking yourself why. The reason why is because if I miss this triple dive, I will throw my switch out the window, but also if I go for Terra Electric, it's gonna maybe allow me to take an electric attack, worst case scenario. But I do connect on the triple dive, which is sick. Also funny to note that only one of the little guys gets the little hat on his head. But 2 triple dives in the rain is going to be able to knock out the Electivire, which is also sick. Just killing threats left and right out here. So, once again, the late game Wugtrio, arguably the scariest mon in the game. I don't know. I'm just saying. Anyway, now as their final mon is going to end up being the Excadrill. This thing has no way of defensive terrying out of the inevitable triple dive. And as I do connect, look, we only need 2 of them, but we get to keep a triple dive in the back pocket, and that is how you clean up a game with the Wug. You know, Iron Hands walked so that Wugtrio could run, but hey, rain support on this thing does make it kind of crazy. It's fast, and who needs Urshifu anyway, dude? You got triple dive Wugtrio. What are you, crazy? So as that's going to be the end of that game, I do have one more bonus match for you because Wugtrio is fun. And look, this is his one time in the spotlight, but he needs to soak it in. So, again, if you stuck around and you haven't hit the like button, you are dead to me. But let's jump into this next game. All right, so this time, my dude's going to lead off with the Crocodile, the Opportunist. And it's got the opportunity to catch these hooves from the Mudsdale. Now, it does have Intimidate, so it's not going to be like a setup Moxie Sweeper. And I imagine also if it's a lead, it's going to just go for Stealth Rock. And that's exactly what it does. So rather than going for damage, I can freely set up my own Stealth Rock, and I kind of have the upper hand in terms of, you know, who wins this one. I'm just going to be able to take any attack it wants to throw at me. I get stamina boost, and I got 2 different ways to hit it super effectively. So, you know, Mudsdale, if you're a physical attacker, you're going to have a bad time. Now, as they stay in and go for Crunch, probably fishing for a defense drop or just some type of damage, it does get some chip, activate stamina, but the reason why I go for Heavy Slam is because I thought surely they'd go into Florges maybe, but you know, they don't, and as I Heavy Slam, it does about half, but then it activates this thing's friggin' Citrus Berry. So now he's looking pretty healthy over there, but again, I'm now at +1 defense, and I'm not afraid of Crocodile. So, you know, they go for an Earthquake, end up getting the crit, which is incredibly annoying, because I wouldn't have done much. But instead, it puts Mudsdale to a kind of unusable point. But at least I'm able to knock this thing out with the Body Press, and that's going to be a dead Crocodile. So with that, now they can go into whatever they want. And I respect the team building. Buddy's got a freaking Cheeto Bird, Cramorant, and, you know, this thing is a little bit of a threat, obviously, to Mudsdale here, but I'm thinking I can maybe conserve Mudsdale. It's got Rocky Helmet. I can use it as kind of just a sack switch later at some point, but I decide I can pretty freely go into Politoed here. The best it can do to me is something like Air Slash, but I can kind of threaten it with an Ice Beam. But in general, I want to try to get up my Drizzle and get some rain flooding the hell out of freaking guy's cafe here. So Surf doesn't, Surf actually does get hit kind of hard. I boost up its Surf with my Rain, and I'm like, you know what, I probably should not have gotten into this, but as they Air Slash, they get another critical hit, and I decide instead to click Perish Song. Now, Perish Song Politoed is one of my ways that I'm able to stop things from just staying in and bullying me. Now, that's going to force this thing to have to swap out eventually, and he's just sitting over there with a friggin' fish flopping in his mouth, and I'm like, you know what, I'm probably also going to need Drizzle to come back out later. So instead of staying in here, I'm just going to swap into Mudsdale. I'm like, you know, might as well just use that sack switch now. Mudvisor comes in. I'm like, how the hell is it going? And I die to an Air Slash. So, you know, while that is all good and fine, there's a few things going for us. First of all, obviously Cramorant on the Paris Chimer, but then I've got the Rain up, and I can't really afford to go Wugtrio quite yet, just because of the fact that, you know, it doesn't really touch the thing unless I Terra Electric Terra Blast. But I figure I have a better spot here for a little fella I like to call Special Glade, and this thing is weird, but I am going to go for the Terra here. I don't want to take a super effective Air Slash. While I do have good natural special bulk, it's just going to be in my best interest to just go for the Terra Flying, because then I'll take a neutral hit from that. And then as I set up a Calm Mind, Cramorant will be on like its last turn of Perish, and it's going to be kind of forced to switch, which should allow me to set up 2 Calm Minds. And yeah, nobody expects the special attack in Glade, that's for damn sure. So luckily I don't get flinched by the freaking Air Slash, but as I set up a Calm Mind, now I'm sitting at +1, and this thing needs kind of all the help it can get here. So the Perish falls to 1. They know that they probably cannot kill me, especially with a Calm Mind, so expecting them to switch, I'm like, that's fine. I can end up going for another Calm Mind here, because Florges is kind of the one thing that is going to be able to take hits at least relatively easily from me. So as they go Florges, my mind is about calm as hell. I now have +2 special attack and special defense. And that special defense is going to put me in a spot where I can take any special attack out here, and especially anything the Florges wants to throw at me. So it's in my best interest to go for an Air Slash for a couple reasons. First of all, it's going to be Terra boosted. It can flinch, and it's boosted by Sharpness. So I'm able to do well over half, which is sick. Sadly, however, I do not get the flinch, and as they Moonblast, though, it doesn't do much to us. So I'm like, hell yeah, we're now able to just go for another Air Slash. That's going to kill the Florges and then profit, but it misses because Air Slash is an absolutely horrible move. So now as they can go for another Moonblast, that puts me in range to just die via my own Life Orb, and that sucks because I do connect on this Air Slash, which is sweet. That I'm able to knock out the special wall, which is cool, but then I just die to my Life Orb, and I'm like, well, you know, I wasted my Terra, and I probably shouldn't have done that. So, you know, down goes the Glade. I really wanted to try to prioritize getting the special Glade going, but it doesn't quite end up happening. And also, we've got ourselves an empty battlefield situation here. So as the Rain goes away, I feel like I should probably just go Politoed here. I can get the Rain back up and maybe try to rely on Wugtrio potentially in the back. But again, they still have some pretty scary threats back there. They've got things like Priority with the Slitherwing for the first impression, and I am frightened. So they go into Cramorant. It does take some considerable Stealth Rock, which is sweet. I also live the Stealth Rock on my end, which allows me to get my Drizzle up. And while this thing is faster, it's just going to be able to finish me with a Surf. And it also gets its stupid Arrokuda over there. So Cramorant becoming a little bit more of a problem than I would like it to be, but I'm still not that afraid. Because what I do have is I have a Snowflake. And, you know, this thing is pretty specially defensive. I know I can take an attack. I also know a Freeze Dry should be able to kill it. And instead, they decide to go for the Endure. That's what Cramorant does. Essentially, they go for Endure, so they guarantee they can take an attack. Now the Freeze Dry is going to leave it with 1 HP, but with its ability, it's then able to just huck its bird at my face, and it doesn't really do its bird. It's fish. It is a bird that is in fact throwing a fish, and that doesn't really do much. So I'm like, you know, that's fine. So it can outspeed, goes for another Surf here. This time pulls up with a Pikachu, and as I kill it with a Freeze Dry, I mean the Surf doesn't do much, but the Freeze Dry knocks it out, and then it throws the Pikachu at my face, and that gives me a Paralyze paired with the damage. So I'm like, Jesus Christ, this bird is out here busting my balls. So down goes the Cramorant, which is a sick Pokemon. I do have a Cramorant video. Go ahead and search that one up on the channel if you're interested. But at this point now, they can go into whatever they want. So it turns out to be the Slither, and this thing's looking huggable, but also a threat because they can just first impression and knock me out. And that's exactly what it's going to do. So down goes the Snowflake, but at least we're able to finish off the bird. And, you know, I mean, kind of feels good, but not really. So I now have 2 Mons left. And as much as I want to go Wugtrio here, all that's going to do is bait in Arboliva in the back, and I cannot touch Arboliva, so that is scary, and I am kind of forced to go Flygon. And this is also a weird Flygon. As I go for a Bug Buzz here, that's basically just to get my Throat Spray to go off. I kind of thought maybe they'd swap out, but as they stay in, I get my throat spray, and at +1 special attack, that puts me in a pretty decent spot because, you know, they go for a U-turn. That does way too much damage, and now I'm like, okay, that thing with first impression is gonna bust my balls. But as they bring in Arboliva, and this crazy-ass olive tree is a little bit of a problem, but it's not as bad as I think, because I do still now have a super effective Bug Buzz, and I'm at +1 special attack. So while it comes in, it's gonna eat a little bit of leftovers, and I'm just gonna go ahead and throw some buzzes out. Flygon is meant to be a bug type, I swear to God. Bug Buzz, Flygon, it just feels right. So knowing that I'm going to be able to get some big, super effective damage here, my hopes and dreams are kind of shattered. Because they do have the Terra in the back pocket, and as they pull out the Terra Fairy, that is annoying. Because now Bug Buzz isn't going to do anything, and not only that, but it more than likely is going to have a Terra Blast, and I'm just over here Bug Buzzing for no damage like Flygon kind of should be. But that activates Seed Sower, which just, you know, just throws some damn grass all over this guy's cafe. He's probably pissed. But they do have the Terra Blast coverage, and that is going to absolutely destroy the Flygon. So down goes the Flygon, and now we've gotten ourselves in a bit of a predicament here. When your final Mon is Wugtrio, you're probably not having the best, you know, match here. But one thing is good. Since they Terra'd out of their grass typing, Wugtrio should be able to grab a kill with a triple dive, barring a miss, of course. And there's always that 5% chance. If it's not 100% accurate, it's 50. So I bring in the Wugtrio, and it's time to see if little fella can do it. So I know that with the rain still up, a triple dive is going to be able to knock it out. They have got 3 Mons left, and I'm like, oh, actually, this might not kill. But then I'm like, wait, no, you know, I'm Wugtrio. Absolutely, this kills. It kind of looks like it's not gonna, but hell yeah, that's going to be a dead-ass Arboliva. So we're just grabbing one-hit KOs left and right with the Wugtrio today. And honestly, I'm still proud of the Wug just for grabbing that kill. So Arboliva goes down. Now, they've got 2 Mons left. It is going to be the Typhlosion, and then they have the Slitherwing. So one thing is we know we should be able to handle the Typhlosion. The Slitherwing, on the other hand, a bit of a problem. And that's exactly what they're going to go into. I'm like, all right, well, the first impression surely just destroys me. I'm built out of literally paper, and I die to that. But as you're going to... they don't click it. They do not go for the first impression. I don't know if misclick or if Buddy just absolutely blew it on that one, but check it out. Wugtrio is going to make you pay. Get whipped by 3 weird little guys. That is going to kill the Slitherwing, and that's kind of a diabolical turn there. I don't know why they don't first impression, but sick as hell. I will absolutely take it. Now, the game is not over yet because the rain goes away, and they have a Typhlosion left. So it's going to be Hisuian Typhlosion, and while I think I should be able to take any attack this thing wants to throw at me, it is more than likely going to be Choice Scarf, so it's going to be faster. Frisks me from my Choice Band, and I'm like, well, I'm just going to go ahead and click the triple dive here. It is going to outspeed, and they connect on a Focus Blast, but check this out. Wugtrio lives it with 6. Most clutch Mon in the damn game, because now the triple dive connects, and 2 of them is going to kill the Typhlosion. So should I have lost that game to a first impression? Probably, but we're still going to chalk that one up as a dub for the guy, and Wugtrio, we get it. Sometimes you got to glaze the goat. So listen, thank you guys very much for watching. And Wugtrio, let this be a lesson. Do not sleep on the Wugtrio. It is, look, it's actually not a threat, but it is kind of fun, and we had some fun with it. So thank you for watching. See you later.